I'm going to give you the top 5 bad habits of unsuccessful men. So tap in. All right, so you guys know I love lists out there, right? And so I mentor probably about 46, 47 young men now. And so I always want to have a checklist of things that I want them to accomplish, right? We were talking on another episode about accountability. And so this 5-part checklist is what I share with the young men that I work with. So hopefully you can find something in there, a little nugget that maybe will help you if you're a mentor with the mentees that you mentor. So number 1, sloth and unreliability. So it was said to me like this: reliability is the price of admission to a productive life. So if you're unreliable, and unreliable people, they'll say, yeah, I'll be there, man. I'm on the way. And they still in the bed. Like, you can't be a person that's talking about a successful life or trying to get to the next level if you're unreliable and slothful. Even the Bible says that, right? And another thing is, if you don't work, you can't eat. We're in a world now where it's all about how much you do to produce. We got inflation at 19%. We got, a president who's essentially turned into a demigod. So there's a lot of strange things going on right now. So you have to focus on what's going to help you become the best person that you can be. Number 2, operating with only one mindset. You see, a man with a hammer who sees every problem as a nail is not someone that has sensibility and people want to be around, right? And so if you only have this one mindset, and I'm a 70s baby, so I get it. It's a lot of things that we were taught, it worked, and now we still stick to those things. But now we're in a different time frame, right? We have our children are different because of the way that they were raised. So if you're the one that every time something happens, you go fly off the handle, you're a dinosaur, man. You're going to have to figure out how to have some sensibility about what people are willing to put up with and experience. I'll give you a perfect example. I worked a few years ago with a young lady, African-American young lady at the job, right? And so one of the things she would complain about is people always thought she was aggressive. And I said, all right, well, she had asked me if I would mentor her essentially. And so I'm a tough mentor, by the way. So if you really want to be mentored hard, ask me. But anyway, we're in a meeting and, something was said, and it wasn't like she was like high up on the totem pole, right? She was a pretty low level employee and she just flew off the handle. And when we talked later, she was like, you see what I'm saying? I said, yeah, I see what they're saying, right? So if you don't allow someone to give you constructive criticism, you're going to continue down this path of only having one way of thinking at things. I'm the kind of person that I love people who have different experiences than I do, different ideas than I do, because it allows you to expand your mindset. Now, mindset, when it comes to it, is really foundational for anything that you want to do. Let's say, for instance, you want to get out of debt. Well, you have to change your mindset that you had previously, or else you'll continue to do the things that cause you to get into debt, right? So mindset is super important to one who wants to be successful. Number 3, envy and resentment. So to me, this should have been number 1. And the reason why is because envy, to me, is one of the most useless sins of all, right? When you think about envy, you're thinking that, hey, I want what they have and I don't want them to have it. I don't think that they deserve it. A lot of times we look at people who have made it or are successful and we're like, oh, I look better than that person. I have more skill sets than that person. I deserve what that person has. I go to a church here in Fort Worth called Trinity Harvest. And one of the main reasons that I joined this church is because it was a church full of men, but nobody was hating. I had never been to a church where everybody was on the same accord and no one was, clocking the other one and trying to see what they got and all of those kind of things. Everybody was just solely focused on what they could do to help them and their family get to the next level. So that envy and resentment It used to be said that's a female trait, but I won't even say that nowadays. I'll say it's just a trait that you should get rid of if it's one that you have. So envy and resentment, number three, but it really should have been number one to me. Number four, and this is a big one, right? Because we live in an age now where everything is digitized and no one has physical books anymore. Refusing to read new books and to keep learning. So I often say this when I go speak at different colleges, right? So I'm a college professor, and I believe education is very, very important. But a lot of times when people hear that, what they actually hear is college is important. I'm the guy that graduated from high school and went to the Air Force. I didn't go immediately to college. So I think there's a multitude of ways for you to actually learn. It doesn't have to be college. Now, if that's your goal and that's your focus, then by all means, go do it. But for the guy that's sitting at home and I don't want to go to school, I'm tired of school, I did 12 years of school already, well, you're going to have to figure out something, right? AI is coming. It's taking jobs leaps and bounds. So you have to figure out something that you're really good at, that you're passionate about, and then go down that road. Now, it may take you 2 or 3 iterations. I say this not to brag. I have 5 degrees in 5 different areas. The reason why is because I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do. At one time, I liked IT, so I got a degree in IT. At one time, I liked healthcare, so I got a degree in healthcare. But really, when I started honing in on what I like to do, which is create businesses, help other people create businesses, manage funds, manage money, build out portfolios. And so then I was able to focus on exactly what I wanted to do. And so my last degree, it's in business, right? And so it's not so much about going to college. It's about finding what you're good at, what you want to do, and finding someone to teach you that thing. I mean, we got YouTube University, right? I don't want to start calling companies names, but just do a Google search. It's tons of information out there that'll help you learn and continue to grow. Lastly, number 5, an intense ideology and narrow thinking. So this goes back to the mindset, right? So adopting a strong ideological identity destroys your ability to think clearly. So we have so many people that are followers nowadays, right? I grew up and everybody wanted to be a leader. You would say, hey, who's going to be the first one to do X, Y, or Z? And everybody would raise their hand. But nowadays, everybody too cool, right? Nobody wants to be a leader. Everybody wants to be a follower. Well, if you're a follower, what ends up happening is your thinking starts to narrow because you're aligned with whoever the strongest alpha male is in the room. I'm talking to my men now. And then whatever that ideology is from that person is what you end up adopting. And sometimes you can't even see through the clouds. It could be wrong as, a red sky. But if that person has poured into you and you think that that person's ideology is better than your own thinking, then you're going to walk down a narrow path. So a lot of my young people out there probably don't know the name Jim Jones. If you do, you probably know the rapper from the Diplomats, right? But I'm not talking about that Jim Jones. I'm talking about the Jim Jones in the 70s. So this guy convinced black men, white men, Hispanic, Asian to bring their families to an island and drink Kool-Aid that had poison in it. Now, the ideology of that person, I'm sure in people's right state of mind would have said, yeah, first of all, I'm not going to no island with you. I don't know you. Second, I'm not drinking no Kool-Aid. I'm the kind of guy that I would have been like, okay, I'm going to wait till somebody else drink the Kool-Aid first, and then I'm going to see, if I'm going to drink the Kool-Aid. And as soon as I seen somebody over there convulsing and stuff coming out of their mouth, I'm like, check, please. I'm out. So again, we think these things don't happen, but they simply are happening literally every day, and it's still happening. We're being programmed through our music. We're being programmed through our news. We're being programmed through social media. And so I want you to be careful about those things, right? Expand your thinking, okay? Don't be a sheep. Be a leader. All right, man. Hopefully I said something that can help you. Like I said, I mentor a lot of young men, and this is the checklist that I take them through when I'm first starting out with them. So we got information like this and more information on qpwealthhub.com. We're not just a financial literacy company. We're about mindset. We're about creating leaders, and we're about propelling our young men and young women to the next level. We'll see you on the next episode. Think and Grow Rich.